We are marching through the NBA season now in week 17 of these power rankings, and we are readily approaching the NBA trade deadline. Of course, one trade already has been made, shocked the entire planet, shocked the NBA landscape, and that is Kyrie Irving going to the Mavericks, who we will talk about once we get to the Mavericks or the Nets, whoever comes first in these power rankings. But first thing is we're going to talk about this team that sucks at the bottom. It's still the Houston Rockets. They're in the tier of their own. Even though their record is only one game worse than the Detroit Pistons, they're just an embarrassing basketball team that makes me not want to watch NBA basketball. So that is just the Rockets tier by themselves. Whole bunch of red arrows. They've been playing a little bit better in the past week, but it's still just bad basketball. Moving up one spot ahead of them is the Detroit Pistons. They're going to be holding here at this second to worst spot. Not a lot to talk about with the Pistons. Cade Cunningham is out. Jaden Ivey's looked pretty good. Jalen Duren has been okay. The rest of the team is pretty expendable. Will they make moves at the trade deadline? Will they try to re-sign Alec Burks? Will they trade Bojan Bogdanovic? Yet to be seen. One spot ahead of them is officially the San Antonio Spurs, falling down a spot, no longer being competitive as they were at the start of the season, 14-39, just losing basically every game. Ever since Devin Vassell went out, it's just been an entirely different team. Now, I have been impressed with the improvement and development of Jeremy Sohan. At the beginning of the season, I said he was a bust, and I didn't like the draft pick. I was confirmation biasing myself. I was totally down on him, and he's just put in the work, man. There's no other way around it. He's physically gifted, but he lacks a lot of the skills that NBA players have, shooting most notable. But as everybody has seen now with the free throw stroke, he's putting in the work, he's busting his ass off, and that's the key to being a great NBA player. It isn't the wingspan, it isn't all these tangible skill sets like verticality or being ambidextrous. It's putting in the work every single day, and he is doing that. He has been impressive to, I believe, everyone in the NBA. One spot ahead of them is the Charlotte Hornets. I mean, they're 15-40 and they're trying to win. Well, I don't know what else to say. LaMelo Ball's been great. The rest of the team has been embarrassing. Hopefully they get Victor Wembanyama and pair LaMelo with some bona fide superstars. Otherwise, Next up is the Orlando Magic, sitting here at 22-32. And can the Magic stop fighting people? I want them to fight other teams to win, not to just beat them up in their benches. They're knocking people in the back of their heads. They're punching people because of making three-pointers. I don't know what's going on with the Orlando Magic. As far as their actual basketball team, I think it's starting to feel like it's a lost season. The worst case scenario is that they bust their asses and then they make it into like the play-in tournament, get the 7 seed or the 8 seed or something, and then they lose out on even being in this lottery. So I'd kind of hope that they lose for the rest of this season, get into the top 5 of this draft, and then we'll see what they get moving forward. But they do have a good core. They do have a good squad. I believe in this team. I think we were just 1 year too early on hyping them up. And the next tier is going to be the tier of disappointing teams, and only one team in this tier at this point. There's a whole bunch of teams that could qualify, but right now 5 games under 500. The Toronto Raptors coming down a spot, and they're just sad to watch as well. Continuing to wait to see if they're going to trade OG Anunoby for 17 first-round picks from the New York Knicks. Going to trade Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet. Scotty Barnes is that dude. He's starting to show that he can be clutch in the fourth quarter, get you a bucket when you need him to. Of course, a pretty solid defender there in the low post. Good passer, just playing with a lot of joy right now. But at the same time, the Raptors do not have a lot of high expectations beyond him. Is Gary Trent Jr. going to be gone? Are they going to get a center? Are they going to get a true facilitating point guard? Are they going to get better at shooting? Dear God. So the Raptors sitting here at 25, just a frustrating season for all Raptors fans. And that is the end of the disappointing tier, because this tier is the what the is the NBA tier, because there are so many teams saying, what? Starting with the Pacers. Ever since Tyrese Haliburton got hurt, they've been pretty much embarrassing. They've been one of the worst teams in the NBA, and that's just a testament to how good Tyrese Haliburton is. That's a testament to how Tyrese Haliburton should be in the NBA All-Star game, at least as a reserve, and a testament to that this team is just still looking to rebuild. And I think they were too early. I think we can all agree that Ben Mathurin is going to be a good player. Miles Turner, if he sticks around, is going to be good for them. And then the rest of the team, I mean, they're going to mix and match, see who's going to stick around. Do you want Buddy Hield? Do you want Chris Duarte? Stuff like that. So all in all, right now, the Pacers, frustrating to watch, 25-30. One spot ahead of them is the Washington Wizards. And it's so weird to talk about the Wizards. On the one hand, you're like, all right, they're trying to win now, but they suck. On the other hand, they're not blowing it. It's weird. But the one thing that I need to talk about, I don't know why they go away from Kristaps Porzingis every single fourth quarter. He'll be dropping like 35 points through 3 quarters, and then inexplicably in the fourth they go, Kyle Kuzma, Bradley Beal, you're going to take every single shot for the remainder of this game. And then they inevitably lose and collapse in the fourth quarter. It is so frustrating to watch Wes Unseld Jr. just deviate from this plan where Kristaps Porzingis, 7'3", demigod, unicorn, unstoppable, and then they go, nah, we're not going to give you the ball anymore, and then they lose. The Wizards are just such a frustrating franchise. I don't even know what to say. But I think are they on a winning streak or a losing streak right now? They only play games in 4 bunches, so they'll lose 4 in a row and win 3 in a row. I think they're on a losing streak right now, but they're still going to jump up 2 spots because another team coming down ahead of them is the Golden State Warriors. Now, especially with Steph Curry, that was the linchpin in me dropping them down 5 spots. They're somewhere hovering around this 15 to 20 field as far as their actual power rankings goes. But Steph Curry is going to be gone again for a few months, and I'm not sure what to do with this basketball team. They play 500 ball when Steph Curry is in. They play 400 ball when Steph Curry is out. And this exact roster won a championship last year. Switch out Otto Porter Jr., Nemanja Bjelica for Anthony Lamb, JaMychal Green. Switch out Damian Lee for Dante DiVincenzo. I mean, the really only notable loss was Gary Payton II, but I feel like if you're a championship team, you got to overcome, and just nothing has been going right for this Golden State Warriors franchise, which is pretty good that they're sitting 1 game over 500. Just a frustrating year, though, to say the least. 1 spot ahead of them, though, is the Chicago Bulls. And talk about frustrating is the Chicago Bulls franchise. I think I speak for everybody when we say we need to blow this Bulls team up. DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and a non-Lonzo Ball just isn't good enough to win a championship. They're the least cheerful, least hopeful team in the league right now. They have 0 chance of winning. No future players to hype outside of maybe a Patrick Williams, and they're barely a play-in team right now. It's just, sigh. When is Lonzo coming back? Coming in ahead of them is the Portland Trail Blazers. They're also jumping up 2 spots along with the Bulls, more because of the precipitous fall of the Indiana Pacers and the fall of the Warriors. Not so much what they've been doing, but the Blazers just struggling as well. 26 and 27 after the hot start to the season. It's basically, can Damian Lillard save them in these really close games in the 4th quarter? If he can, they're going to win. Otherwise, they're going to lose. Yusuf Nurkic has been a big loss for them for, I don't know how long he's been out, but it feels like forever. Next up is the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Lakers are a really weird team to grade. They could be a top 5 team on any given night. They could be a bottom 5 team in any given night. So I'm sticking them right here despite their record at 19th. And I mean, how do you grade a team that could beat a team by 40 and lose to that exact team by 40 the very next night? It's troubling to watch. But hey, LeBron James is going to pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to be the NBA scoring leader. Moving on is the Utah Jazz, and where's the copy pasta? It's just, they've got this hilarious meme. Every time they hit 500, they go, "This is a good, honest 500 basketball team. We play 500 ball, god damn it. Salt of the earth, punch the clock, even win-loss ratio basketball. We lose a couple, guess what? We win a couple too. But don't get too excited or let it go to your head. No long winning streaks here, no sir. That's hubris, which this blue-collar, hard-working, everyman team doesn't have. Few wins in a row, these guys, true to form, will balance it out with a couple losses. Yes, sir, that's my 2022-2023 Utah Jazz. A good, honest 500 basketball team." And every time I see that, I just die laughing because it's true. These Jazz are just a super 500 hardworking team. Waiting for them to blow it up, trade deadline fast approaching. Next up is the Atlanta Hawks, another 500 team, 27 and 27. Their defensive effort is just non-existent. They need to get rid of Nate McMillan. Hopefully they'll have a Jacques Vaughn sort of turnaround. Of course, you see how that went with their trade, but it's just, you see the difference in trading an all-star caliber guy versus a generational type of guy. You see the difference between trading for Kyrie Irving versus trading for Kevin Durant. So you just don't bet the farm on a low-tier all-star guy like DeJounte Murray and expect him to turn around the franchise, because it's just not going to happen. Next up at 25 and 27 is the Oklahoma City Thunder, and we're just kind of waiting. We're going to see which step they go as this season close out. Are they going to finish strong? Is Mark Daigneault the right guy for the job? Or should they look in a different direction, make that Mark Jackson to Steve Kerr transition at the head coach, get a center, hopefully Chet Holmgren comes back from injury, and take off next season? Yet to be seen with this Thunder, but of course, a good, fun, young squad to watch. Shout out J-Dub. Next up is the Phoenix Suns at 29 and 26, and they're a tough grade as well. Devin Booker being out has just completely cratered this team, but at the same time, DeAndre Ayton capable of being a monster. Mikal Bridges capable of getting traded for Kevin Durant. Cliff Paul capable of scoring 2 points and dishing out 17 assists. It's interesting at the same time. It's frustrating at the same time. Who cares about the Phoenix Suns? I'm not really sure what to do with them until Devin Booker comes back. Simple as that. Next up is the Pelicans, and they've just been losing every single game. So their time has come for a precipitous fall, dropping 6 spots, and they've looked a lot better now that Brandon Ingram is finally back, but their offense is still sputtering. And it shows the difference in tiers of players. Brandon Ingram is nice. He's a mid-range bucket. He's the closest thing I've seen physically to a Kevin Durant, but Zion is an alpha. He's a 1A. He's a win you a basketball game type of guy, and he's the difference maker of this team being a legitimate competitive team, best team in the Western Conference, to a middling, what the fuck is the NBA tier team. And finally, coming to the Minnesota Timberwolves, they're continuing to climb up these rankings, jumping up another spot this week, 29-27, winning more games than they're losing. But the Wolves are just the most do-it-to-yourselves team I've ever seen. They blew up the team in the future for their backup center. They turn the ball over in the clutch. They don't play consistently on defense. They jack up shots with 20 seconds left on the shot clock. They should be, honestly, a top 3 team in the Western Conference. Anthony Edwards is that dude. He should have been a starter in the All-Star game. I don't know who to knock out, but he's playing great. Karl Anthony Towns, if and when he comes back from injury, 3rd best center in the NBA. D'Lo is just ridiculously clutch. Say what you will about his defense and his effort and his minute-to-minute attention span, but the dude in the 4th quarter gets you a bucket. They had a whole bunch of guys like Jared Vanderbilt and Malik Beasley who've been playing great. Of course, those guys are gone. Now they have Rudy Gobert, the best screen setter in the NBA. Look, the Timberwolves should be so much better of a team, but they started this season horribly. Hopefully, they continue to figure these things out, integrate Karl Anthony Towns when he comes back in the lineup, if he comes back in the lineup. Next up is the Brooklyn Nets. And what to say about this Nets squad other than, yikes. I looked at the trade and the trade details, and I was like, okay, Kyrie Irving doesn't want to sign here. And this is the full trade details. Normally when somebody like Kyrie Irving gets traded, there's a whole bunch going along with it. You look at the James Harden trade, it's like 7 first-round picks. So you go Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris. You get Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, the first-round pick in 2029 in 2 seconds. And you just kind of scratch your head when you're the Brooklyn Nets. You go, okay, so you flip Kyrie Irving for Spencer Dinwiddie, and that's not a significant downgrade. Spencer Dinwiddie has been playing incredible basketball for the Dallas Mavericks lately. I actually have him in my notes. Shout out Spencer Dinwiddie. He's been playing his ass off at an extremely efficient rate. Been the consistent 2 or 3 for Luka without complaint. He basically won the Suns game being thrust into the Luka Doncic role. I mean, Spencer has just been balling the hell out. But when you're flipping Kyrie Irving for Spencer Dinwiddie and you only get 1 first-round pick, you go, oof. Now, I understand Kyrie Irving's contract was expiring. I understand he wanted out. He was miserable because he made him apologize for hating Jews. I get all that. But at the same time, this is Kyrie Irving, bona fide all-star bucket getter, clutch shot maker, winner of the championship of the finals with LeBron James. Kyrie Irving is that dude, especially as you saw with Kevin Durant go out. He's dropping like 48 in one game, the most efficient 4th quarter scorer, and you trade him for Spencer Dinwiddie in a first. That hurts, man. So the true failure when you look at this trade isn't what the actual trade is and what you have. It's in your inability to keep these guys together. I understand Kyrie Irving is a nut job, but it's your inability to make sure that Kyrie Irving is content enough to not do things like this, not demand a trade. There's a balance that you have to have when handling these superstars' ego, and the Nets just were unable to manage it correctly. And so you lose Kyrie Irving for Spencer Dinwiddie in a first. So you lose James Harden for Ben Simmons. The Nets have just had horrible asset management outside of signing Kevin Durant. That's all I have to say about the Nets side of this picture. Dropping 6 spots. They're officially out. I was playing with dropping them more into the 20s, but they do have Kevin Durant coming back from injury, hopefully soon. If he doesn't get traded, we'll have to see. Other than that, though, that is the end of the what the fuck is the NBA tier. Moving up into the good, not great tier, and basically any team that's not the Celtics is in this tier. Starting with the Heat, they're starting to look good, play good basketball, they're streaking. That said, offense is just such a pain to watch. They're basically like the Lakers. They rely on a bunch of undrafted or second-round pick guys to get their points from 3, which is never reliable. Their star players can't shoot outside of 10 feet, and then occasionally, Jimmy Butler will just completely disappear. He'll score 10 points 3 games in a row, and you'll say, what the hell are you doing? And then the next 3 games, he'll be an MVP, drop 30 a night, get you clutch buckets in the 4th. It's inexplicable why this happens to Jimmy Butler. But right now, they're streaking. Tyler Hero's playing better. Bam Adebayo has been aggressive. So Heat jumping up 2 spots into this good, not great tier alongside the New York Knicks, who are not going to move here at 10 at all. They're okay. They're good, not great. I don't know how else to describe them. Jalen Brunson has been a godsend for them. Otherwise, they'd probably be a lottery team. Julius Randle moving back into more of a 2 role has been playing pretty good. He'll make a couple boneheaded mistakes here and there. And then you just have to scratch your head at Tom Thibodeau's rotations. Next up is the Kings, 29-23 at this point. And look, they're playing horrible without De'Aaron Fox. Again, look at any team in the NBA. You lose your best player, who in the Kings' case is De'Aaron Fox, you're not going to play good. Domantas Sabonis, as frustrating as he is to watch, is also not that dude that's going to carry a franchise. He's a good supplementary piece, a 1B to De'Aaron Fox's 1A. They're just missing him right now. As for the next spot ahead, Dallas Mavericks, I'm bumping them up 3 spots because I think Kyrie Irving is just that good. Other than that, I saw a great quote on what's going on with the Kyrie Irving trade. Either they're going to win the whole thing or they've accelerated Luka Doncic's departure because he's clearly frustrated with just everything basketball related with this Dallas Mavericks squad. The Mavericks front office has been, well, let's just call it horrible. Of course, starting with the fact that they let Jalen Brunson walk for nothing. Could you imagine if this team kept Jalen Brunson? We did it in the Mavericks arc in some of my rebuild videos. They win a championship with Jalen Brunson, especially the way Jalen Brunson is playing right now. JB is having an incredible season. Imagine him having an incredible season for the Mavericks. And imagine bringing in Christian Wood at the same time. And imagine now upgrading from Spencer Dinwiddie to Kyrie Irving. You could theoretically run a Jalen Brunson, Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, Christian Wood, and God, I don't know, Maxi Kleber's starting lineup if you want. That is lethal. That being said, that's in what if world. Currently, we're in the actual Dallas Mavericks world where they have Kyrie Irving, Christian Wood when he comes back from injury, and Luka Doncic when he comes back from injury. This team is good. I don't know if it's championship tier. Of course, the West is wide open right now. The Clippers aren't anywhere to beat. Grizzlies, Nuggets have their faults and their flaws, so I don't guarantee any team right now in the West to take it over. The Mavericks have clearly made an upgrade, at least for this season, if Kyrie Irving's mind is right. That's also part of the reason why they didn't have to give up as much, because he's on an expiring contract. Gonna have to try to re-sign him in the offseason. He's not gonna sign right now, and you have to hope that he plays basketball for you in the great state of Texas, where you know how they treat basketball players out there. So it's just a big risk. I appreciate the Dallas Mavericks for jumping in, plunging in, saying we're not going to be wasting Luka Doncic's prime anymore. We're going to go and we're going to try to compete for a damn championship. At the same time, was this the right move? We will look back in the annals of history and say yes or no. Coming in ahead, ironically, is the team that they play in the playoffs, it seems, every single season. The Los Angeles Clippers, 30-26, jumping up 5 spots, and this team is looking healthy. Kawhi is back. Kawhi is playing good basketball. This team theoretically can beat anyone. Ahead of them is the Memphis Grizzlies, and that's just for now. They're starting to fall. I've never loved the Grizzlies as far as championship contention is concerned. They've got really good players in Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr., possible Defensive Player of the Year candidate. They've got quality depth in Dylan Brooks, Tyus Jones, Steven Adams, Santi Aldama, and of course they've got John Morant. But it feels to me that they're still missing that Kevin Durant, Giannis, I'm going to take this damn game over type of guy. And it's showing in these long losing droughts that they just lack the capacity to say, enough, I'm going to win this basketball game, put the team on my shoulders. Next up is the Cleveland Cavaliers, sitting here at 33-22. And I've been a bit disappointed with these Cavaliers. It's been a real kick to the balls type of season. I want them to beat lesser teams when Spider Mitchell is out or he's not playing at 40 points per game. I wanted to see some all-NBA potential from Darius Garland, showing he can be a number 1 when asked to, and they've just been a little bit underwhelming. They're still, in my book, the 5th best team in the NBA, but I was expecting them to be more like the Bucks playing without Chris Middleton, and they're playing more like the Nets without Kevin Durant. Evan Mobley needs to continue to grow offensively. I watched a 10-minute Thinking Basketball video where they're saying, oh, Evan Mobley's clearly shown improvement on the defensive end, and I say, okay, but how about offensively? It's just not great. His points are up 0.3 points from last year. Rebounds are up 0.6. Assists up 0.2. Free throw percentage is up 3%. Field goal percentage is up 5%. 3-point percentage was down 6%, all on about the same volume. There's just not a lot of growth from Evan Mobley offensively. I appreciate everything he's done defensively, but I'm not worried about the future of this team. I'm not worried about his future. I'm worried about the Cleveland Cavaliers winning a championship this season. Either Darius Garland needs to take another step up in his game, Evan Mobley needs to take that jump, or they better be 100% healthy top to bottom, because there's nobody on this team that beats a Giannis. There's nobody on this team that beats a Tatum. Next up is the Bucks at 36-17, jumping up 3 spots. They're starting to play healthy, good basketball. They've figured it out again. I mean, they were struggling with injuries when Giannis was out, when Chris Middleton was out. Drew Holiday was their only healthy guy. And while he's my Defensive Player of the Year leader, he's just not going to take him that far as Giannis will. And Chris Middleton, cash money being back, finally. 1 spot ahead of them is the Philadelphia 76ers, continuing to win basketball games. I think they lost an embarrassing game last night, but they're still playing very solid, very fundamental. Joel Embiid, back. James Harden, all-star snub. Maybe that's more fuel to the fire. Tyrese Maxey, bucket. Next up is the Denver Nuggets, 37-17. Nothing is argue about. I still think they're a flawed superpower, if you will, of the Western Conference. But right now, at this point, they're the second best team in the NBA. And that's, of course, the tier separation between them and the Boston Celtics, continuing to just be the best team in the NBA. They aren't as consistent as they used to be. They're starting to struggle a little more than we've expected and seen from them since the beginning of the season. But overall, still number one across the board, plus minus record. Doesn't matter. Boston Celtics number one. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are, what you agree with, what you disagree with, and I'll catch you in the next one.